Hi boys! Welcome back to the channel, YouTube. I'm Navy Dad. This is Rusted Bolt's Garage, and this is not my normal type of video because this one got screwed up. But there's still how-tos in here and some information that you may need to know if you are dropping your truck. But in order to keep it kind of entertaining, I added some stuff to it, like this.
Boys, well, we're hanging out at the shop, and tonight we got something special. Here we got Ricky Bobby Radcliffe's latest acquisition. I mean indecision. I
like big Newtons. Woo!
Oh my goodness. Yes, sir, that is an actual, real live Winston Cup NASCAR. And tonight we are not painting any cars. We are putting stickers on it. Tell us about it, Ricky Bobby Radcliffe.
I want to thank the Rain Eater, JTG Daugherty, Racing Michael Walter, Wood Brothers, Toyota 47 car. If you ain't first, you're last.
358 cubic inches and 863 horsepower and 10,000 RPMs. Boys, you be safe. See you soon. Dad, go.
Okay, so what happened was I went over to my buddy's shop to do some work over there. We were spending the day hanging out, working on a couple of other cars, and then was going to do the final spring perch, front spring perch on the truck at the shop. Well, I was going to show you all how to do a single, how to lift the bed off your truck by yourself using one of these devices right here. Put the link in below. It's inexpensive. The problem was I got over to my buddy's shop and his engine hoist was too short. So we couldn't do it, so we ended up using his lift. But what happened is this camera, which I'm going to replace today, screwed up on me twice. So I didn't get anything on lifting the bed off. Lifting the bed off on these trucks is really easy. If you've got a short bed, it's got 8 bolts. You disconnect the fuel filler, which is a couple of T25s, I think, and pull that back aside. There's also a ground strap that you need to take off, which is a 10mm nut. Then at the rear you need to unplug your electrical harness. It should be a plug really close to the back of the spare tire. And then there's also another ground wire, which should be a 13mm. I don't know why they did that. And that's it. You undo that and you lift the bed off and you're done. So didn't get to show that because that camera. And the other fun part I didn't get to show is actually cutting the original spring perches off. Now I'll show you in the video on how it actually works, but I didn't get to do that because this camera screwed up, so I didn't get to show any sparks. And of course everybody likes sparks, right? But again, I'm going to, there is good information in here if you're doing this and you haven't done it before. And also, but I put some fun stuff in here. So it'll make it worth your time to watch, and hopefully you enjoy it. And maybe down the road we'll get to revisit the shop and some of the other fun things that are in that place. So, and if it wasn't for my buddy, who's my best friend for close to 40 years, I think now. Ooh boy, yeah, long time. Anyway, and my other friend Dennis, I wouldn't have gotten to go here. I'll have to figure out where that is. And I may have a video in the coming weeks here, kind of chronicling our adventures to that far off land. It was really cool. So here we go. Hi boys, welcome back to the channel, YouTube. I'm Navy Dad, but this ain't Rusted Bolt's Garage.
We gotta move a couple of cars out of the way so we can work on old Blue today.
That's right, I'm over at my buddy Brian's shop. And
Hi.
that's him. And we decided to use his lift rather than trying to use the bed lift thing that I was going to show you how to do a one-man bed pull. But his, how do I put this? His shaft isn't long enough. His boom isn't long enough on his hoist. And mine is like 20 miles away. So anyway, we are going to get the front spring perches finished and get this drop done. So let's get started, shall we? Okay, so yep, we used the lift to lift the bed off, and that did make things a little easier. So here's the hardest part, is this side. And the other way. All right, so there are 4 hot rivets here, 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 and here, and then there is a screw right here that you need to grind flat with the frame, and I'll show you that here shortly. But this is the harder side because, and in fact, to get your brake cable out, you actually want to cut this and this. Rather, be very careful, but you're going to cut here and here and here and here and pull the cables out, rather than rerunning the whole cable through the through that hole. You're just going to cut it out. If you install the custom sway bar, kind of like I showed you in the previous video, make sure that you disconnect it before you start doing this. Disconnect it at the frame right here. No need to disconnect it at the axle, but you need to disconnect it there. Okay, before you start doing this, don't forget, especially if you've already done your rear shackles, before you start disconnecting everything, you need to loosen both rear shackle bolts. The bolt that bolts it to the shackle itself and to the frame. Don't forget to do that. Okay. Alright, so check this out. It still has the factory black paint on it. I know, y'all in the Rust Belt are probably hating me right now, aren't you? Well, I'm sorry. This is what happens when you live in Texas. Shit don't rust. Okay, as you can see, we've now let the spring down. You don't actually have to disconnect the shocks, but be really, really careful when you are pulling the bolts out of there. You want to have the least amount of pressure on the front spring perch. So you want the axle down, but not too far down that when you pull it out, things are going to pow down on the ground. So be very careful, but you don't have to disconnect your shocks. You can leave them in, they're kind of a helping hand for you. And he's my beer man tonight. Okay. Here's my spark arrestor. Don't ask. Okay, so this is what we've got to cut. It's got to cut a slice here, slice there, and then slice that out, pull these out so you don't have to disconnect, because you're not going to be using this type of mount for the new Belltechs. Okay, you see we cut it here, and I just made a slice right through here and here, and now I'm going to take a pair of pliers rather than cut it further and risk damaging the cable. Okay, not gonna lie, that's a pain in the ass, getting this stupid thing off. But what we found works really, really well is take a grinder and pie it. Pie it as best you can, cut off all the way around the rivet as best you can, and then use that guy and blast them out. Okay, well, as you can see, we're dirty and we are freaking ready for a beer. And this is not really an easy job. All of it is actually quite easy. Getting the bed off is pretty easy. Doing that side is pretty easy. That side is a pain in the rear end. Now, you have got to finagle your fingers and use little bits of wire to pull the nuts in. It is very difficult to do that. So if you've got big hands like I do, you bleed. So it is kind of hard to get in there. So you're going to kind of, here, I'll bring the camera a little closer so you can see. Maybe you can see some of the skin and blood that's all over the frame.
Like a horror movie.
What? Yes. Well, yeah, it is like a horror movie. So, as you can see, we had to go different directions with the bolts because it is very difficult to get your fingers in here from either top or the bottom, here, whatever. Now, this one's a little easier because you can, well, you can't really see, but there is actually a hole in the frame right there, which you can get a wrench back in here. But just plan on spending a little bit of time here. It is difficult. The rest of it is very easy. Okay, so something important to keep in mind if you have a short bed. You must notch this frame support that goes across the back of the bed so that the spring clamp doesn't hit it. This is really important. The Belltech instructions mention it, but they don't show a picture of it. So it's a little confusing on what you're supposed to do, but that's what you got to do. And we're done. We've got 2-inch drop spindles in the front, from Belltech of course, and we have now a 4-inch drop in the back. Wheels and tires are 17-inch by 8 with a 4.5-inch backspace. That was a mistake. It should have been a 4-inch backspace. I will not go into the conversation I had with somebody racing because I had to roll the fenders. So anyway, that's all for this one. Look forward to the next one. And that will be the last one on Old Blue for a little while as we get back to work on the Turbo Miata. Boys, you be safe. See you again real soon. And I finally got my beer. I'm gonna go drink another beer. Should we go drive the Camaro?
Yes, we should.
See y'all later. Now we gotta put stuff back in the garage. Like that. Well, I hope you enjoyed that one. I mean, yeah, I know I kind of screwed that up and lighting and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to take care of that. That camera, this camera you're looking at right here, is going to be replaced today. So anyway, so that's going to be probably the last video for a little while on Old Blue as I get back to work on the Miata. As you can see, I have all kinds of parts here for the suspension. I'm waiting on a couple other parts and we're going to start reassembling that car. And get it done. And because my goal is to have it done hopefully by this summer, because in the fall I want to start the engine swap on Old Blue, and y'all still haven't figured out what motor I'm using. I think it's kind of funny, but it is an 8-cylinder engine, I'll tell you that. So and it's not diesel or Chevrolet. So anyway, stay tuned. I hope you keep watching the channel. We're actually getting really close to 1,000 subscribers. I can't believe that. I mean, I only expected, you know, my sons and some of his buddies and stuff like that. So I don't know, when we hit 1,000, maybe I got to do some t-shirts. I know some really good artists. I might be able to come up with something cool. I don't know, we'll have to see. All right, well, do all that stuff, that like, tag, share, and all that mumbo jumbo with YouTube, and I hope you enjoy it and keep watching. More to come. I need a beer. Boys, you be safe. Take care. I'm out.